What's up, music makers? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to be making a type beat of a Dua Lipa song, more specifically of Hallucinating, one of her songs off of her Future Nostalgia album. And this video might interest you if you're someone who produces music in this style, or if you're just curious to know how the sort of sounds, textures and production techniques are utilized in the making of a song like this. Now, we're not going to be replicating the song exactly today, but we're going to be doing something that's not only close but also a fair representation stylistically of the production as well. Now, the production I'm going to be showing you today is a type beat that I have made for my type beat channel, Joe Gauchi Beats, and I'm going to be talking through how I've achieved certain sounds and how I've layered the production, and basically, yeah, hopefully you'll learn something from this video. So let's jump straight into Logic, and I'm going to show you what it is that I have done. So this is the project here that I've done, and the first thing that I want to point out is the structure is very much similar to Hallucinating, and I, like every production, built it from the drums. So the first thing you'll probably notice, if you've listened to Dua Lipa Hallucinating, you will realize that the drums are very similar. Now, I've used splice to sample individual one shots of kick, snares and hi-hats to create a beat that I'm happy with. We've got some open hi-hats as well as normal hi-hats doing a very specific rhythm with a little bit of like quick little like filler notes in between there. So this is the drum beat. Very simple but very effective for this sort of music, so like dance synth pop type music. So again, that was very easy to create the start of the chorus there, and just sort of like mapping out using the drums. I always build a production through the drums, never used to do it, but I've eventually found this is the best way to do it. Now, the next thing that we need to point out is the bass line. One thing that's very fundamental to Dua Lipa songs, especially in any song in this genre, is you've got to have a really nice funky bass line, which not only like fills in the gaps in the rhythm section, but also like bounces off the drums. So what I've done for this one is I've stacked 3 basses together to create the bass, and it repeats throughout the whole song. It's pretty much a 4-chord song because it repeats throughout, and as you can see, like in the verse and the chorus, it plays through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you the bass, and we'll play it with the verse, how the song starts. So this is the bass line. Layer it first with the Solid Soul electric bass, which is a preset in Logic. Sounds very MIDI, but I kind of want to bring through a synth element in this bass line, so I wasn't too bothered about it sounding MIDI. And I stacked that with a 90s solid synth bass to add a little bit more of a textural quality to it and to improve the sound. This had a lot of low end in it, which I feel like the solid bass wasn't giving me, so instead of EQing it, I've just blended these two together. And the last thing I wanted, again, was to add that sort of synthetic value to the bass end, but also at the same time a little bit of grit and bright in the high end. And the Dirty Planet is one of my go-to bass sounds in Logic. I love using this. And so you put them all together, and this is the bass line. And again, as you can hear, the drums are very similar, start levitating. And there you go. So already we're starting to map out the song and like get the production sounding similar to how we want it to be. The next thing that I think was very fundamental is to start getting the pads right, because there's a lot of different, especially retro sounding pads in this production, and it's a very interesting side chaining technique which is going on, which I want to show you about. But first, I'll show you to my pads section. Remember, I always like to subgroup tracks from the bass and the pads, because one of the ways that I produce is I stack pads. This is all one sound altogether, but you can see the amount of pads I've done here. But I love to blend pads together to get the desired sound. So hence why, even though you see all of this, this is all just to create one sound. So the first pad I added was not actually a pad at all. It was more the dark lo-fi piano. I wanted a sort of more delicate and mellow chords to be laid down first, just to build around. We'll take the bass, just so the bass drums off, just so you can hear it. Now you're hearing that throbbing happen, and that is not something that comes in the preset. This is something I made. I'm going to start to show you now about this side chaining technique. So what I've done is I've put a compressor into the dark lo-fi piano, and I've side chained it to audio 2, which in this case is the kick. And the reason why I have done this is because I want to create that sort of throbbing sound. So the synth is a lot more rhythmic to the drums, the sort of bouncing off the drums. So when the kick, is really like stamping in a song, so basically when the kick's audible, I don't want the synth to be audible, and I want to create a sort of throbbing effect, and that can really help give the song some bounce. So if I was just to put the kick together with the pad, watch what happens here. So as the kick plays, the compressor kicks in and squashes the audio down. So then we get this nice little throb sound. Here we go. And basically I've applied this effect onto a lot of other pads that I put in. So let's go to my wall of pads now and show you what I did to create this synth sound. So the next thing I added was the classic sawtooth pad. A lot more along the retro bright synths. And again, this is the pad that I found, which is the preset in Logic, but this is very close to one of the slight textural qualities of the pads in Hallucinating, so I wanted to have it in. And then I added that with an 80s sine synth, which is a little bit more of a low. I think it was down an octave, this one, because again, like I wanted to create some sort of like harmonic quality to the pad. I didn't want it just to be like three chords, just like in one like certain octave. I wanted to expand this pad across different octaves so we could create a really big sound, again like this wall of pads. So the next thing I added in was the 80s fizz synth, and let's have a listen to it by itself. See, look, so it's a lot lower, but if you add it with this, that's covering the low end, that's covering the high end, and this is also covering the low end. Now I added this big pulse waves, and again, like as you can see from where I put the octaves in, I did change the key of this song at one point, but having this one in again in the higher register, so putting them together, it's sounding a lot bigger. And then I did the exact same thing an octave down. Again, they've all got the side chained kick technique on. So it's throbbing, so it's adding to the rhythm section. And if we play this now with everything that I've added so far, literally just kick, drums, and wall of pads, and bass, you get this. There you go. And now there's not a lot of things we need to add, but I do feel like the track's missing that something, that sort of atmosphere, that in the background sort of sound. So I've got some more pads here, but I always like to do this now in my productions. This is a new thing I've started doing recently, and I recommend that you do this as well. Is I've got a separate pads track or subgroup in Logic called Atmos, which is not anything to do with like Dolby Atmos. It's short for atmosphere, because I want to purposely mix in some pads which are just designed to help add a little bit more ambience to the track. So we've got this here, which I'm just going to solo, which is Airways, which is my favorite pad in the whole world. It's just really nice. It's breathy, it's airy, and I'll mix that with Breathless Space to get this. No sidechaining kicks on this one, so this is sustaining. So it's filling in the gaps where the bass throbs, because there's that where the synths pads throb rather. So because there's, you don't want to sort of leave a gap in the production, and I feel like when we're listening to that back there, because when it was throbbing, the kick was been more prominent than the pads, but then there's still that little bit of a gap where the song just needs that little bit extra sort of like sprinkle or stardust on the top, if that's one way to put it. Now if you add this atmosphere in the pads, all of a sudden, like even when it's throbbing, it just sounds complete. It has a lot more epic as well. And then all together, it sounds a lot more complete, and it sounds very close to Hallucinating Dua Lipa. Now there's one more thing that we need to add, and this is a very important thing, and that is sort of risers and stamps between sections to help blend two sections together well and make it a seamless transfer over, especially from like the pre-build into the chorus. And for that I've used crashes and reverse crashes, which again, like I've taken the crashes, I can't even say crashes today, from Splice, and I have reversed some of them to create a little bit of a sense of a build, and again a stamp when a new section comes in to make it hit a lot harder. And just, you know, you got to have these in there, like the little details and productions, otherwise it just sounds a little bit too repetitive and a little bit too underwhelming when the next section comes in. So these are my, we'll just solo these quickly so you can hear them by yourself. Here we go, let's have a listen. Yeah. And all of a sudden it just completes the mix. And yeah. Okay. So yeah, guys, that is how I recreated and type beat a Dua Lipa hallucinating, again, type beat. If you have any more questions, feel free to do in a comment below about anything I've done in this video. Again, two things I really want you to take away from this video, two production techniques which I've used. One is the side turning of a kick. Is a very, very good way to edit any sort of texture or instrument or any sort of audio and make it your own or mix it up a bit. And the second thing as well is making use of subgroups is a very good way to blend instruments together to make your own sound, but also at the same time separating the pads from the or pads and synths from the other pads and synths, which are helping with the atmosphere and the ambience of the track. Because if you try to mix all of that together, sometimes it can be really hard to get that perfect balance between the synths, which are the sort of driving force of the song, and that sits in the background, because you're mixing them together. It's two polar opposites. So again, keep them separate in subgroups. Makes it a lot easier to mix and can make your production sound a lot better. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and try it out for yourself. Pick a song, Dua Lipa song, recreate it, or whatever genre you are. It's always such a good way to practice as a musician, to try and recreate productions in a different way. And again, like if it's something that you do fairly often, then you can even use BeatStars, which is a platform I'll talk about in a load of videos, to actually maybe even sell them or release them yourself as an artist. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. So hit that subscribe button if you did make it to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep making music, and I'll see you in the next video.